You were honored with the prestigious Buffalo Soldier honor from the county executive. Talk about what that meant to you.
That meant a lot because I never thought I would be recognized. I never looked for that honor, you know. I just served my country and came back and was living my life. And of course, somebody was observing me. So they recommended for me for that being a vet and the community service, because right now most of my work is done with the church. You know, Pilgrim Baptist Church, I works there a lot, you know, doing different things around there, feeding we have like a soup kitchen on every Friday. I help run that. And I help the youth, I drive for the youth. And I had a couple of times wherein I had a chance the church sent a truck down to New Orleans for that storm. So, you know, it's you know, trying to give back. Yeah, you know, try to give back some, because, you know, I feel it's a blessing to be able to do and come back and do what I do.
You've done a lot. Not only have you connected with the guys, but talk about some of the groups, including the Nam Night Motorcycle Club. How did that come about, and tell people what it is?
The Nam Night Motorcycle Club, which I am the president of the Hudson Valley chapter, that's here in Rockland County. To be a member of this chapter, you either have to be military or law enforcement. We have an opening for patriots, which are neither. We go from the state of New Hampshire all the way to Florida. The whole East Coast is flooded with chapters. I think right now we're close into the high 60s, maybe even 70 chapters. We go to Arizona. We actually have 2 international chapters. We have 2 chapters in Canada. Canada had a lot of Vietnam veterans. We do fundraising, we do community work, and I don't know, and I started a lot of what we do as the chapter, helping people, young kids with cancer, people that need help. We helped a guy that was thrown out of his house, a veteran, from keeping him to become homeless. We flipped the bill and put him back in his house and helped him pay his bills. We raise money, that's what we raise it for.
We've spoken to a bunch of Vietnam vets and to a person in this third quarter or in the last quarter of their lives. They're going out of their way to give back. Some even going back to Vietnam.
I know.
Why do you think that is?
A lot of us want to give back because we can now. We have the teamwork to do that. I mean, I have my group of guys that we have, they're all on the same page as me. And if I say, listen, we need to give something, we need to do this, and they'll say, Charlie, you know, let's do it.
What made you decide to get involved with the Memorial for Women, especially since when you threw your fatigues in the garbage, it seemed that you didn't want to look back anymore?
All of the feelings and everything kept bubbling up. And Diane Carlson Evans, who was my hoochmate and was my friend throughout the whole time and after, had asked me if I would be the representative on the East Coast. And I said, I don't know how you can talk about it. Don't ask me. I'm not. So every once in a while she'd call me and ask me if I would. And about a year before the dedication, she called and she said, we're going to need people to talk to people, news people or, you know, magazines or whoever wants. And could you do it? And I said, I will, under one condition, that I can stop anytime I want if it gets to be too much. Because for me, it was like putting your hand on a hot plate. You know, it was still raw. And so I started talking about it. Then the dedication came down in Washington, and it was the most amazing weekend because there were, I would say, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 women who had served over in Vietnam. When you talked to the women who served, it was like you had met someone from your own country that spoke the language that you did, and you didn't have to explain anything. And they totally understood what you were talking about. It was such a relief to know that these women were there.
Tell people about STEP.
2005, a good friend of mine, Howard Golden, he's a retired police chief from Spring Valley Police Department, him and I got together and we decided that we wanted to go back to Vietnam. So we got together a group of 11 veterans who also wanted to go. And we contoured the trip in 2005 so that for a period of 3 weeks, we would visit each one of the locations that each one of the 11 of us served in. So it was a very, very special trip. A lot of us were going back because we wanted to see the country. We wanted to have some sort of closure to see what happened after we left. And we wanted a number of us wanted to put the demons to rest, having go back there to see how things turned out. Every place that we went, we were warmly received by the Vietnamese. There was no animosity, there was no hatred. We were welcomed every place we went. In fact, when they found out they were Americans, they would actually greet us and embrace us and thank us for coming back, and it was special. We saw a lot of poverty. The cities were okay, but once you got out to the outlying areas outside the cities, you were back in the Middle Ages. People were still living in straw huts, sustaining on meager rice and stuff like that. And we decided that we wanted to do something to help the kids. The kids really, as the kids did then when we served 30, 40 years before, the kids left an impression on us. And we came back to our Rotary Club and we said we wanted to do an international project. That's the Rose School. It's located in Dalat. Howard and I came back from that trip. We did fundraising. We raised almost $100,000 so that we could start that school. It housed 545 children. Subsequent trips, every 18 months, to try and meet their needs. We found out after we built the school, they had clean water problems, so we provided them with a clean water facility. The school became so big that it was 3 levels, that it started taking disabled children. They couldn't transport them between the 1st and the 3rd floor. STEP again turned around and said, okay, go ahead and proceed with putting in an elevator. We'll fund it.
Tell people about the Marine Corps League.
We're very fortunate here in Rockland County. We have a very good group of Marines, and we have a couple that are associates that aren't Marines, but they wanted to join us, a couple of Army guys. Probably our biggest thing is our Toys for Tots. That's a big event for us here in Rockland County, and we gather and donate 13,000 toys a year to needy kids within Rockland County. But now I do some peer-to-peer work, mentoring with either a couple of Vietnam veterans and an Iraqi veteran. We like to give back now, and that's really, and it's a win-win. If I'm with a veteran who's suffering from, let's say, mild PTSD, nothing heavy, mild PTSD, and they feel good over a cup of coffee that they've had a chance to talk, I feel good.
A half century after their service, our vets share their final reflections when we return. If you can go back and talk to the 17-year-old Charlie, what would you say?
Oh my God, what would I say to him?